it's like, should I do a few more things when you know it's going to be cold? Deal, DVD every Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's amazing. No, yeah. Yeah, I've been surprised as well. Even the games, they're get close to some summer days because the electronics are cooler.
That's good.
Some areas, you mentioned there, so you got that bit of extra
Good evening. I want to thank you all for coming to our town hall. I am Martin Vrolik. I'm the board chair of Habitat for Humanity Sarnia Lambton, and there's some amazing board members and volunteers and staff here. And thank you as well to our guests for coming tonight. We wanted to take the opportunity to tell our own story instead of, it seems our story was getting told by others. So we wanted to get the word out and let you know exactly what we're up to and what's going on. One thing we are going to start tonight with, tonight's gathering, is with a land acknowledgement. But I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment first to recognize the passing of Murray Sinclair on Monday and honor his contributions to my education understanding and our learnings as a community. I watched an interview with him that really struck with me, and I went back and found it again because I wanted to get this quote right. Murray Sinclair said, "If we move forward without remembering, then we are not the people we should be. Even newcomers must feel the weight of this process of reconciliation because even if you weren't here, you still have a responsibility to the future of the country, and therefore you need to understand this. Reconciliation is about establishing a relationship of mutual respect. We respect each other, and that's what this country should be about." In the spirit of his words, Habitat for Humanity of Sarnia Lambton acknowledges our obligations to truth and reconciliation. We acknowledge that this land in which we gather today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as a treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for the generations to come. So please take the time in our everyday busy lives to reflect on our commitment to change through our words and actions that honor the calls to action that Murray Sinclair was so instrumental in having brought to fruition. When we have our board meetings and a lot of our committee meetings, we always want to start with a moment of reflection. So I'm going to have Jennifer Jakes come up and share our reflection for tonight.
Thank you, Martin. Habitat for Humanity was founded in 1976 by the wide-reaching vision of Millard and Linda Fuller. The vision of Habitat continues to grow globally while making an impact on the families, volunteers, and staff. Mr. Fuller once said, "For a community to be whole and healthy, it must be based on people's love and concern for each other." Habitat Sarnia is shaped on this foundation. The vision is founded upon faith-inspired principles. Share your food with the hungry and give shelter to the homeless. Give clothes to those who need them and do not hide from relatives who need your help. A great fulfillment is provided when people come together in generosity of time, talent, and resources that seeks to assist a person or family pursuing their life goals in the face of social and economic challenges. Being part of providing a home injects hope in the homeowners and inspiration into all who participate, from the Habitat staff and volunteer teams to the sponsors and the steady stream of volunteer teams who share in every portion of the build. Providing a home isn't a singular, isolated event. A hope-filled homeowner brings that same care to a neighborhood. Neighborhoods knit together by hope bring peace, safety, and new opportunities to a city. The provision of a home is a ripple effect that can have an immeasurable impact. We recognize that Habitat isn't the only answer for our city and the rising concern of homelessness. All responses that honor the inherent dignity of each person and family treats them as we all would want to be treated. All these responses are needed. Habitat is honored to be one part of the needed effort. Habitat's contribution through partnership housing centered on those in need, working side by side with volunteers to build decent, affordable houses, remains a vital contribution to help address the needs of our city, with an impact that benefits our city and all who live here. At Habitat Sarnia, we continue to innovate to help meet needs. Beyond the building of our homes, our handyman program continues to develop, our lawn cutting and maintenance program getting stronger, and we are now starting a snow removal program. We continue to follow the path of the original vision. As a result, we are growing as an organization. We have more capacity to help with a little more help needed. Today, we can contribute to make a needed difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So we're going to have our CEO, David Waters, come up to speak and explain how the rest of our evening is going to go here.
Martin's a little taller than me. So. Well, first of all, good evening and welcome. We appreciate you being here tonight. In the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to talk about everything Habitat, everything it's done, is doing, and will continue to do in this community. We'll talk about how we'll do that, what services we will provide, and how we make an impact in this community. All the folks in this room wearing red shirts tonight, whether a staff member or volunteer, come into the office or come into the restore every day with one thing in mind. Is how do we build more homes? How do we help more people and make a bigger impact in the community? We are, and we will continue to deliver on our mission no matter what. But we need more help from this community, even though you grant so much to us. Directly following the speakers, we'll have an open Q&A and talk about affordable housing in general or anything Habitat you want to discuss. So come along for the Habitat 101 journey and really get to know us. Trevor, hit it.
A home built by Habitat is life-changing. I've seen it so many times firsthand. I have never been able to hand over the keys and not see our new homeowners crying. We know that this is life-changing. They're coming from a rental that they typically can't afford, that is typically substandard. To move into a brand new, custom-built, for-them home, there are no words to describe just how life-changing it actually is.
I'm Martin Garlick. I joined Habitat on the board almost 6 years ago now. I'll admit, when I first was asked to join, I didn't know much about Habitat. I've always been super involved in my community. I love this Sarnia community and was really intrigued. So the more I learned, the more I have fallen in love with this organization.
We visited his family that applied and came back to the board and said such and such, they're worthy. A big family in a way much less space than they should have had. We settled on the Villemairs, and we brought them a cake. We were all really excited. We thought they would be too. And they said, there must be people out there that are more needy than us. And it still makes me shiver.
I'm Jeanette Villemare. This is my husband Jerry. And we received our house on November 21st, 1994. Well, when you have 6 children and you have 5 children in one bedroom and one in one bedroom, but you can't add to the sleeping circumstances because her room was in a porch and we couldn't, the other person's face would have been on the ceiling if we had a bunk bed. It was overwhelming that we were loved by so many people we didn't know. Later on in life, we bumped into people like somewhere and they would say, there'll never be another one like yours. It's our home. It's not just our house, it's our home. It's really ours.
awesome. I received my Habitat home in 2003 is when we moved in. I was a single mom, 2 kids. Was renting, and I was a waitress at the time. So, yeah, it was hard to raise 2 kids on your own. Oh, a lot. My kids were raised here. They had a stable home. We didn't have to switch schools. Well, it's great. Well, this is going to be where I'm going to retire. My forever home. Oh, it's neat. A lot of people don't really believe that you help build your own home, honestly. I know, I helped build it, and I really did. That was amazing. The people that worked on my house, they were great. They almost became family.
I have been there through seeing groundbreaking, to seeing families getting handed the keys to their new home and the excitement that goes with that. I just love the fact that we are finding families who wouldn't ordinarily be able to buy a home, get into owning their own home, building up equity, having a safe place to stay, and just improving this community one family at a time.
My name is Darryl Legacy. I live on Guthrie Drive in Sarnia. It's the first seniors build that Habitat did, and we were lucky enough to be one of the first picked to live there. My husband first he was still working, got hurt at work, couldn't work anymore. I was still working, but then we were bringing in a lot less money now. So, and plus where we lived had a basement, and so he wasn't able to go up and down. Then my health got worse. So together we just couldn't stay there any longer. And this opportunity came up at exactly the right time.
From helping at the restore, events, construct teams, and even on our build site, our volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization. With over 100 active volunteers, Habitat would not be where they are today without their hard work and dedication. With a smaller employee base, we rely on these volunteers to help with the daily operations at the restore, from working at cash to helping fix donated items and so much more. Events around the community are always in need of plenty of volunteers, and ours are no different. Our signature events throughout the year continue to grow in size, and every year our volunteers play a crucial role in the success of each and every one of them. Working with the families is the most rewarding part of my job. When a family is selected to become a homeowner, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, including one-on-one educational platforms to ensure an easy transition into homeownership. They may just be one family in the community, but they are a part of our family for the rest of their lives.
We've completed 5 builds over the years, probably over the last 12 years. So it's allowed us, the partnership, to find and match people in housing, safe, affordable housing that they probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to get any other way, and with people that they wanted to be with. We've had phenomenal partnerships with Habitat through other means as well, through their Habitat Handyman program and the lawn maintenance program that they offer, both top-notch resources in the community. And as a nonprofit for us, it's great. You want to give back to your community. If you expect your community to support you, you should support your community. And that's our philosophy. And the partnership has just been fantastic.
Back in 2010, one of our staff members got involved with Habitat, and we've been doing it every year since. We've got people who want to do things and be a part of the community and support the community. I think what Habitat does or gives us is that opportunity to do something and give back to the community. You guys do a great job at securing affordable housing for those who maybe wouldn't be able to. And we're just grateful that we can be a part of that and bring people along to support that in a very small way.
and provide that housing for those people who need it. If you're looking for something to bring your team together, it's a fantastic team building opportunity. You know, we're doing something to help Habitat and help those people, but I think at the end of the day, the people that we have coming to the event, they're the ones that walk away and have got something out of it, I think more so than the people who are receiving the actual piece of support that they're getting. So, yeah, I would 100% recommend to anybody that if you can, I would get involved, absolutely. Very, very rewarding.
Provincial government talks about housing, the federal government talks about housing, the municipal, the city government, everybody talks about housing. Habitat's doing something. And through and through, it's a great organization.
Thanks, Trevor. So as is explained, Habitat opened its door in 1994, and this is our 30th year of operation in this community. And during that time we built 79, working on 80 and 81, currently on Great Crescent in Sarnia. We plan to increase that number by 10 over the next year, the next few years, as we plan to build 5 homes in Forest and 5 tiny homes in Sarnia. We currently have a bunch of properties in the stream, sort of at the land bank as we call it, that for future builds. We have 2 homes on Brock Street, or 2 lots. 1 lot on Stewart Street, 1 on Marjorie's Way, 1 in Wyoming. So again, we're always looking to acquire more land to continue to do what we do in the community. We're always looking to buy refurbished properties too, which tend to be a little harder to come by these days, but we continue to try that. When a family wants a home, they have the opportunity to apply. And our mortgages are 0 down and 0 interest over the course of a 30-year mortgage for our families. So then when that is completed, the build is completed, the home is then sold to the family at fair market value. Our homes are never given away. They're not free to the family. They pay like anybody else would pay based on the value in the community, which, as we know, has increased rapidly over the last few years since the pandemic. So it's getting harder for us to buy, harder for our families to afford. So we continue to do what we can to help them along the way. So during a Habitat mortgage too, they develop equity over the course of their mortgage. So every 5 years, they have a chance to gain equity. And if they wanted to leave at any point in time, they could do that and then take the increased equity in the market share with them. So it's almost like a savings plan for them in some regards, as well as building wealth and generational wealth for their families after them. With every sort of home, there's conditions, obviously. These homes, like I said, aren't given away, so they have to make a certain amount of working income. And that number is fairly small at $22,000, and they can make as high as $61,000 and be in the window. So as the home size increases, that maximum income they can earn sort of varies depending on the size of the house. So our target family is right in that 22 to 61 is where our audience lies, where we get our families from. Usually, again, living in high rental situations, substandard conditions. But again, they sort of have to meet those conditions, as well as meeting the income thresholds. They can't have a lot of debt. They have to manage the debt. We want to set them up to succeed and not fail. So debt is important, as well as they have to give 500 hours of their time to volunteer, whether that's on the site, in the store, or one of our events, through their homeowner education program. That all goes towards that 500 hours. And a good thing about that too, we allow friends and family to help. Volunteers can share some of their hours, existing volunteers, to make that easier on the family. So So the other mortgage model we offer in our community is around, it's called deferred home ownership. It's how we built the Guthrie Street project, how we'll build the tiny home project, and likely what we'll do in Forest. So that is an all-in price where the families that live there, they pay one fee that covers snow, grass, maintenance, insurance, taxes. And they, again, develop equity at 5-year intervals that at some point in time when they want to leave, whatever the mortgage portion of that payment is, they can take that all that money out. So an example, every 5 years, approximately $6,000 they have they could take with them at any point in time. So again, we're trying to help them on many levels here. If it's just a stepping stone to live in a Habitat home or one of our projects, it's a way to help them in the future. So what's going on too in the Habitat world today is because of the size or the value of properties around Toronto, Edmonton, the GTA, Habitat has introduced an interest-bearing mortgage, a blended mortgage where the family will have some interest and then some zero interest. This is allowing the bigger affiliates across the country to afford the upfront cost of buying land and producing builds. So that's an ever-changing sort of envelope. We're hoping to stay away from that in Sarnia as we are a smaller community, and for this point in time, it's still manageable for us to be zero interest and zero down payment. So our goal is to keep that in place for years to come. Sorry, I keep walking away. I'm not used to stand and like to wander. So the really cool part about a Habitat mortgage is it's sort of a pay-it-forward system. So we are a bank in a sense. We hold and finance all our mortgages for our families. And we collect payments every month from those families based on their income each year. It goes into what's called the Fund for Humanity. So we don't use that money to pay a bill or a salary or utilities or to put fuel in a truck. That goes directly to building homes. We never spend a dollar on anything but. So it's a unique pay-it-forward system that allows us to do what we do. So in 2016, we saw a need in the community for renovation and repair, and we developed the handyman program. So in 2022, another need, we created the grass program. In 2025, we're starting the snow removal program, all to do with need. We have an aging population in this city, and they all require more help, and we're there to provide that on many levels. Sorry, I'm just constantly flipping here. So where we started with was one handyman, a bunch of volunteers, and now it's sort of developed into we have 6 full-time crews in our handyman division doing all these renovations and repairs. Sorry. So we're going to top out at about 600 families served this year from where we started at 37. So in those years, those 9 years, it's come that far, and the need is increasing so much. So we continue to offer that service. In 2023, this program won a national award for impact in the Habitat world. This program was the first of its kind in the Federation. It's considered a gold standard across the country. We've helped several affiliates in Canada, in the US, and even recently in Puerto Rico. The program, what is also unique about it, we offer 2 lines of pricing. So families making under $35,000 a year will get a special rate on their services. So it helps us keep things going and helping everybody in the community, not just the people that can afford, but the people that can't. One of the things that we're most proud of, I can't even talk, I'm sorry, is the relationships we have in the community. We currently work with LCDS, as Nick pointed out in the video, community living, the Women's Interval Home. We've done work for the Sexual Assault Clinic, Rebound. Helping other nonprofit agencies to do what they do is really vital to us. We've been supported by the United Way and Sarnia Community Foundation as well with grants that are vital to our operation. So thanks to those folks. So the Restore, everybody knows the Restore. It's one thing that they know about Habitat. It drives us. It has an impact on everything we do. It is a social enterprise that accepts new and generally used merchandise of construction materials, furniture, electronics, household items, appliances, lighting, tools, sinks, tubs. We also offer a kitchen deconstruct program. So if you want to get rid of your kitchen, we'll come and take it out for free. We'll recycle that and sell it to another family. So it's, again, that's vital to our operation. And as we always like to say, there's always a new treasure at the Restore. We have a ton of daily shoppers that come looking for that one item, that special item that is sort of from the 70s that they may not be able to find in a general hardware store, but we might have a bin of them in the Restore. So that's really cool. And one of our biggest goals is to keep stuff out of the landfill. So we offer a lot of recycling programs, metal, e-waste, batteries of every kind, including car. We take liquor bottles, beer bottles, wine, pop cans. You can also donate your car through Donate a Car Canada website. We usually get 3 or 4 of those every year. It's really, again, helps our operation. So the other piece too, it's important, occasionally we turn down items. It's really, to be transparent, items that come to us at the back door for drop off aren't suitable for resale. So if we take those items, all it does is increase our disposal costs. It doesn't help us as an organization. So, we respectfully decline items too. So it's not everything can be processed, unfortunately. You can also get tax receipts for the items you do donate at the Restore. As long as they sell for over $75, we'll issue tax receipts. So that's always cool for people. We all want to save money on our taxes, right? So last year too, again, another revenue source that we needed to try to find as costs increased for us on the build side and everything we do, we started doing trailer storage and boat storage in the back of our Restore. So again, another way to help the community and help us as an organization. And the last thing I'll share about the Restore, and then I'll pass it on to someone else. The store here is so supported by this community, and we are forever grateful. It's the #1 small market store in Canada. The #1 store. It's amazing. There's 104 Restores across the country, and a small market store, we're #1. And nationally, we're number 18, which is a pretty incredible feat for this little community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's a little bit about Habitat. Now you're going to hear from a few people before we go to the Q&A. I think we're doing well with the time, so even though we started late. So the first person I'm going to bring to the stage is a current board member of ours, an advocate for affordable housing, an advocate for homelessness help in the city of Sarnia, Jim Curran.
Thank you, Dave. My name is Jim. I'm a volunteer with the Habitat for Sarnia Lambton Board of Directors, and I'm going to share a little bit tonight with you guys about why I got involved with Habitat and what my experience with them has been like. A home is far more than just the walls that encompasses it. It's where memories are created, families get to watch their children grow up, and a place that provides stability that families depend on. As a kid, I used to take the cushions off the couch and build a fort in my house. That was a safe place for me, a home within a home. I got involved and started volunteering with Habitat because I believe in their mission of everyone having a safe and a decent place to live. I'm personally moved by their model of bringing volunteers and communities together and creating homeowners. Complete strangers donate their time and their hard work building homes so others can share in the experience of home ownership. Affordable housing is very hard to find these days, whether it's an apartment rental or a house. Most times when we're talking about affordable housing anymore, it's really unaffordable for most. And I have a hard time imagining that folks spend their entire life renting from what they think is something that's affordable and never earn anything on the equity that was created. At Habitat, we do something different. Habitat is the only organization that I'm aware of in this community that is creating homeowners, not lifetime tenants paying rent in an affordable housing unit. Can everyone think back to their first house? What that feeling was like the day you got the keys? You walked into that big empty space, thinking about where you're going to put your furniture, watching your kids run to choose which room is going to be theirs, opening that back door and looking at that yard and remembering that was yours. I know for me that was an emotional moment. Now imagine attending a ceremony where two families who have dreamed of having a place of their own, and you get to witness their dreams come true. Families that invested time and sweat equity in building their homes and working through Habitat with its home ownership program. You can say I'm an emotional person, and I would agree, but it's hard to hold back the tears of joy when you watch a family through a key handover ceremony. I always say people will never forget how you make them feel. And anyone who gets the opportunity to listen to a family speak about what that home means to them and their family won't forget that feeling either, because it really touches your heart. So come out, join the Habitat family, volunteer, and let it touch your heart too. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Next, I'm going to call to the stage Angela Kirkland. Angela Kirkland is our fund development managers, and we can't do anything with housing without raising funds and holding signature events to that fundraiser. So Angela's just going to talk briefly about those fundraisers. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight at our town hall. My name is Angela Kirkland, and I'm the Fund Development Manager, and I'm thrilled to share the impactful work we're doing at Habitat for Humanity Sarnia Lambton. As many of you know, Habitat for Humanity is more than just a charity. Our mission is to build homes, communities, and hope. We believe that everyone deserves a decent place to live, and we strive to make that belief a reality right here in Sarnia Lambton. Our mission is simple yet powerful: to eliminate poverty housing by creating affordable home ownership opportunities for families in need. In the spring of this year, a duplex for 2 families was completed on Emma Street, and an additional 2 family homes on Gray Street are currently under construction. Next year, we aim to provide safe and stable homes for another 5 families. But we can't do it alone. We rely on the generous support of our community, like each of you here tonight, to make this happen. Referencing the video we saw tonight, you can see and feel the impact expressed by Jeanette and Jerry, Anne and Norma. There are 77 more families who, with our help in the last 30 years, have become new homeowners and have moved into their homes. Homes where the children in these families now have a safe space to grow, thrive, and build their own futures. Stories like these remind us why we do what we do. Every dollar raised goes directly to this cause, making an immediate impact on the lives of families in our community. A capital campaign to raise funds to construct affordable housing for 10 families in 2025 through to 2026 will kick off in the new year. Echoing Albert Colby with Worley, he says, "Jump in. Sponsoring a team build day provides a unique opportunity for companies to give back, while at the same time providing a great team building experience." Highlighted in the slides are the logos and photos of partners and teams making a difference. So I invite you to join us in fundraising with sponsorship and participation in one of our 3 signature events. Coldest Night of the Year, which is a winter walk in February, Raising Walls for Habitat, our summer golf tournament, and our Jingle Bell Build, our newest holiday gingerbread building contest event. For me, the most rewarding part of my job comes at the end of the build season, when the families receive the keys to their homes and are now new homeowners. The completed house represents every dollar that has been donated, sponsored, or raised to get to that point of celebrating another family whose dream of home ownership is now a reality. Tonight, I invite you to consider how you can contribute, whether through a one-time donation, setting up a monthly contribution, sponsoring or participating in our signature events, or volunteering your time. Every action counts and provides a pathway to affordable home ownership for families and creating an impact that will last for generations. Together, we can turn the dream of home ownership into a reality for more families. Beyond the financial support, we encourage you to become advocates for our cause. Share our mission with your friends, families, colleagues. Every conversation you have can inspire others to join us in this important work. Follow us on our social media through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Share our posts, spread the word of what we're doing. In closing, I just want you to imagine a community where every family has a safe and stable home. With your help, we can make this vision a reality. Thank you for your time coming out tonight, for your support, and for believing in a brighter future for all. Let's build homes, communities, and hope together.
Thanks so much, Angela. As we heard Shelby talk about in the video, volunteers are the lifeblood of what we do, whether that's in the Restore, the Build site, or on our board of directors, or on a committee, or volunteering at an event. So we're going to hear that perspective tonight from an actual volunteer that's with us. So I invite Charmaine to the stage to say a few words.
I don't know how I'm going to top Jim's speech, but I'll try. Hi everyone, and thank you for attending tonight. My name is Charmaine Moffat, and I've been a volunteer at Habitat for about 2 years now. I started shopping at Habitat when the store was on Christina Street, always trying to find the things I needed as a first-time homeowner on a budget that I couldn't afford to pay full price for. I was amazed and thrilled at the great things I would find that sometimes I wasn't even looking for. I'm a creative person, and I can usually find the beauty in someone else's discards. I became a regular after the store moved out to London Line, so much so that the staff came to know who I was. I would pop into the store 2 to 3 times a week looking for vintage furniture or things that I needed for my house. I originally became a volunteer for a couple reasons. I believe in what Habitat represents and that everyone deserves safe and affordable housing. With home prices being very unaffordable for many, we need to help our community in any way we can. I also love the people. I met so many amazing individuals in the store and on the home built sites. I've seen products and tools that before Habitat, I wouldn't actually even know what they were. I also love to hear the creative ideas from all of our customers at how they're going to upcycle items they found in our store, or how they've been on the hunt for something that they desperately needed and couldn't afford to pay full price for. I've also learned how to lay flooring, install kitchen cabinets, and doing it so with my fellow realtors from RE/MAX, or with just Darryl helping me because I wanted to learn some new skills. After volunteering for a short while as a cashier, I was approached by Shelby to join the family partnering committee and become a coach for a family that would be receiving a home, which is actually one of the Grey House builds. My responsibility as a coach is to be a support system to the family and help answer any questions they may have and give advice when needed during the building of their future home. It was an honor to be asked, and as a homeowner, I felt I had some insight and advice that I would be able to provide to my family. I love our store and the handyman service. To know that you can have projects done for an affordable price and not worry about getting taken advantage of, especially if you happen to be a senior. My father-in-law hired the handyman service to put a new deck on and repair his front steps. He was so pleased, he gave the guys each a $5 Tim card as a thank you. If you know my father-in-law, it's quite a compliment. He's pretty tight. Don't tell him I said so. Being a volunteer at Habitat has taught me so many skills, and I've become a better person in the process. With over 100 volunteers at Habitat using their collective skills to make our Habitat store the best it can be. I'm grateful for the amazing people we have dedicating their time in the store, and it would not be the same without them. So if you've been thinking about volunteering, why not spend your precious time doing so at Habitat? There's so many areas that you could work in, and such a worthy cause. Did I mention Shelby gives you cookies? I volunteer in Cash on Tuesday afternoons, and during my time there, I also do a short video called Take It Home Tuesday. It's on Facebook if you ever want to see what's on sale. I love to highlight it, and Trevor Taylor also shares it on our Habitat page. So the next time you're in the store and you see the wonderful staff wearing blue shirts, know that these amazing people are giving freely of their time to support Habitat. If I ever get asked a question I don't have the answer for and tell you that it's above my pay grade, I'm not kidding. It really is. But I will do all I can to answer your questions and help in any way I can. Thanks so much for attending.
Thanks, Charmaine. Not only did she do Take It Home Tuesdays, she also does Working on Wednesdays. So these videos are quite interactive, so they're great. So obviously, as we've said many times, we build homes, hand keys to families, and last year we were grateful to add an amazing family to our family in Lambton Shores or Forest. He got the keys, his family got the keys, and he gave this really, I don't know, just emotional, touched us all, getting the keys and what it meant to him and his family. So we thought it was appropriate that he say a few words tonight. So Abdullah, can I invite you up to the stage?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start, thanks Habitat, thanks David, thanks every single one who worked for Habitat community. Your help, you working there, you help us to have a place to call home. Special thanks for every single donor who donate his support, who donate his hours, who donate financing for us. Thanks for every single one. Don't think, guys, you're just donating, or your donate recycling stuff, or wherever you donate, it means a lot to us. Every single thing you guys donate make us feel safe. It's not only for my family, for other families, because I came from where I know where I came from. I never forgot. I will share a little story of my life. I moved to Canada 2018 in November. May you guys don't care, but I would like to just share it. I wasn't able to afford the rent, actually. I have a family, I have one kid, I live in one bedroom. It was really hard to get a call and says, congratulations, you have unexpected pregnancy. Living in one bedroom, unexpected pregnancy. Some people congratulate me, and something I don't really realize that will happen. I wasn't expected at all. Me and my wife, we don't know. We should happy or we really should sad. We don't know where we go. 2020, COVID-19 take over the country down. And like very hard, we stopped working, sitting at home. We're not able to afford the milk for first kid. How we afford the rent? It's a very tough moment. May you guys think that's really hard, double hard on me. It's very tough. Tough to remember that. Until the light showed up from the far away, Habitat community helped us. Because the great people like you who donate, who really support Habitat community with the financing, your help really built a house for me and my family. We have a house called, we have something called house right now. I have right now my kids really have a space to play. Every single night when I went to my bed, I have a nightmare thinking about a second kid's coming. I don't know where to go with it. One bedroom, really tough. But thanks God, we have a great community and we have a Habitat. Really, to be Canadian mean a lot. I wasn't thinking like that. I really wasn't thinking like that to be Canadian like that. Really, thanks every single one, and thanks for the Habitat community, and thanks for donation.
Thanks, Abdullah. So what he didn't share, he just had another baby, so number 3. So the house is he's really grateful for the house. So our last speaker tonight is also a board member of ours, but his story is very unique, and a local entrepreneur, very, very bright man. I want to bring him to the stage. Lieberson Vijabalin, please.
Hello guys. Is it still doing that sound thing or sounding okay now? I'm like you, I kind of like to wander. I might just take it off. There we go. I didn't know everyone was preparing speeches. He just sent me an email. He said, Lee, can you talk? And I said, okay, I'll add it to my calendar. And then this morning I was like, oh, I guess I'm coming home late tonight, huh? Now I have to talk. So I didn't prepare anything, but for me this is kind of easy. All he asked me to say was my story, and that's pretty easy because it's mine, it's not someone else's. And I also have been pretty busy. I just had my 4th son, so I got one on top of you, Bill. He's like the last 2 weeks I've been at home and haven't had time to put anything concrete together. But I did make a couple of notes. So I think really my story can be summarized into 3 things. First, how we ended up in the situation that we did as kids, kind of the impact that having a home has, and then lastly, how it's kind of turned me into a member of the community that does the things that I do. For some of you that know me, you know that I was born in Toronto, and my mom was relocated to Sarnia because of domestic violence. And her story kind of, she was already fleeing her previous home, which is because of civil war and genocide, so she kind of, sought Canada for refuge, and then she had to do it again. So one of my first homes was the shelter, the women's interval home, and then later it was government housing, and then later it was a 2-bedroom apartment where me and my siblings grew up. So me and my brother, we had 2 mattresses on the floor. We thought that was awesome because we had each our own bed, because my mom and my sister, they shared a bed in the other room. And my sister slept in my mom's bed until she was 8, to give you guys an idea. So, I guess before I talk about what happened when Habitat came into our life, I will tell you a little bit about what that does to a family. I don't need any sympathy, but I think it's important to understand, the effects on the psyche, right? You have shame, you have a lack of security, you don't have stability, you don't know where you're going. It doesn't feel like home because you know you can't be there forever, so you also don't have that foundation. It's just missing. For us, the way that we were raised, we always were grateful. We never knew how much we were missing. We did go to a private school because that school was very generous and let us go there for very, very little. And all the kids there were rich. So around the time you start to go to birthday parties, you're like, oh shit. That's awesome. Your fridge dispenses water. That's really cool. That's been, even when I bought my house recently, my first house during the pandemic, I told my friends, I'm like, I made it. My fridge dispenses water. I'm done. I don't need anything else. It does have an effect, and I feel like for me, it was part of the many different variables that made my childhood feel like chaos. And it's hard to, reach my own potential when life is chaos. My grades weren't great. I was always behind in school. Everyone thought I was an idiot. And I couldn't focus, I couldn't do my work. And for the most part, I was just kind of struggling. And then, our story changed. There was a turning point. And that turning point was Habitat. And my mom told me, she's like, hey, I applied for this thing. They give people houses, they help people get houses. Me and my family, we watched that show, Extreme Home Makeover, right? And we would watch that as kids, and it was like, it was like a dream. And this is what it felt like when they came to our house the first time. I can vividly remember being like, look over here, there's like mold under here. I was maybe 11 or 10 years old or something at the time. And I just wanted them to see how rough it was, because I'm like, maybe we'll get more points. This is a contest. So we just showed them what the conditions were, and they sat and talked to us, and they talked to my mother. And my mom was a hardworking, honest woman. Anyone that knows my mom, she's an absolute saint. Very generous, very selfless lady. And I think she was able to tell, her story in a way that made them feel like they wanted to support her. And I'll never forget when my mom told us that we got it. It was like, oh man, it was like literally like Christmas times 10. It was unreal. I remember we got the drawings of the house, and we could see which, where our rooms were going to be, and we had to pick the paint colors, and to me that was the same as Extreme Home Makeover. I know that might seem crazy to some people, but it was the same thing from where we were going. The difference that made was, you have a home. You don't need to worry about where you're gonna go. You're gonna be here, and you get to like start thinking about living and thriving and trying to do well in school and trying to make friends, and you get to start now. It gives you security, it gives you pride. You don't have to feel shame anymore about bringing your friends over, or any of the things that a lot of people take for granted. And it gives you just a sense of belonging and a start. So yeah, for me that was my experience. Right at that point, I changed schools just to kind of give myself a fresh start. I did quite well. I went through high school, started the business, and I think that's like the last part of the story that I'll add is that it doesn't just end there, right? You have the home is just a moment, it's a turning point for people. Once they have that, the ripple effects are far and far above and beyond what you'll ever hear about. And for me, it was, I'm never gonna forget all the people that put their hands on my home and put it together, right? Like you can't. So when people say, why don't you just start your business in Toronto, or why don't you hire people from overseas, or any of those things, I just won't do it. And it's out of principle. It's because, for me, it's about giving back to the community that gave back to me. And no one ever asked me to do it. There's no social contract that I had to sign. No one's watching the things that I do every day, but I have loyalty to my community because I saw them come around and help my family when I needed it. And that's why I'm on this board, and I volunteer for other boards. And over the past few years, I've donated endless amounts of work to nonprofits through my company. And I think that's the kind of the important second part of the story that not always gets told. Not everyone gets the chance to come up here and be on the board after receiving a home. Go down, almost fell there. But yeah, that's why I think it's super important that Habitat exists. That people like the people that donate to Habitat donate. That all the volunteers and the wonderful people that help make this go around do the work that they do. Because it's not just about building homes, it's about building a community. And I think that's the part that people miss is that, the home is like the first step. And then these people get to, there really is a ripple effect. So anyway, that's all. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Luke. Like I said, an amazing, unique story. It's come full circle, and I can attest his mother's an amazing woman. So we're grateful to have her part of our family for years to come. So that's sort of our speakers. So we're going to transition into a Q&A. Anybody wants to ask some questions? I'm going to invite some people up to the stage that may answer some of the questions instead of me. So Darryl Blum is going to come up as our Director of Build Services. Trevor Valancourt's here, he's our Restore Manager. And Shelby Thomas is our Volunteer Coordinator of Family Services. So there's chairs just over here behind the curtain. Guys, you want to grab a chair? And then we're only going to be taking questions here if you have some. Any questions is fine, and we'll try to answer them around Habitat, affordable housing in general, what we're doing, anything we can help with. And I'll direct the mic accordingly if the questions for one of these folks over here. See, I already feel better. I'm wandering. I'm not standing behind a podium. I just don't like speeches. I like to just talk off the cuff, but that doesn't always happen. So let them get situated there, and sort of open to come on up to the mic here if you have a question. Feel free, don't be shy. I really do like to talk, so. Some other team members in the crowd. Let me see who we got here. We got Holly Reynolds on the board of directors, Mary Lee Rod, Jim Curran, Jennifer Jakes, Martin Froelich, all from our board giving of their time. John Silvestri's in the back. John's our vice chair, soon to be our new chair. As Martin, after 6 dedicated years, transitions out, so we're grateful for his time and dedication to the cause. Anybody? Come on, don't be shy. Someone ask a question. All right, fantastic. Come on up to the mic. I think it's on.
That's okay. I can yell.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a two-part question here. I forget the exact day. Maybe Jim, this would be for you. We met, we walked, we talked, and you gave a very different thing, very different reason for the teeny home build. 2 days later, you came out in the newspaper and said security and safety were your reasons for putting a hold on that teeny home.
That is correct.
Why?
Safety and security.
What is the safety and security for 5 new homes or 5 families
Okay.
not getting it?
Okay, so as an organization, our first obligation under the Ontario Health and Safety Act is to protect our team, protect our staff, protect our volunteers. That's first and foremost above anything else. So as a builder of homes in the city, we build all over the city, from central to South Sarnia, and have for many years, obviously, as you saw. And we've had, at every building we build, we have problems with people coming into our homes, getting into our basements, taking our materials, harassing our staff on site, harassing our volunteers. So in an environment where there's a lot of people, and believe me, we feel for their situation. But there's a lot of people in situations down there where our tiny bill is directly across the street from an encampment. It puts our staff, volunteers in jeopardy. It puts our product in jeopardy. It puts our material in jeopardy. And as a nonprofit, we can't afford to lose volunteers. We can't afford to lose money. And even though we're covered by insurance, every time there's an insurance claim, that costs us money as an organization, which then affects us building more homes. So safety and security, we stand by that decision. So.
Okay, so in March of this year, you had a display at,
Yes.
at the hotel there.
That's right.
And you said that you were taking applications for that. For
That's
that
correct.
building. Where are those people going to live now?
Well, we've contacted all the people that applied. And to give you an idea, so when we had our display and we started opening up applications the next day, we had 7 applications in day 1. Okay? So then I believe it was within 4 or 5 days the encampment started. And I've said to my board, and I've said to anybody I've talked to, is I don't know if the campment's related or it's not related. Maybe it's the fact that the houses are small and people can't downsize that degree. Applications stopped. So we never received another application after that moment. In fact, as the encampment continued, again, I'm not saying that's the reason, but 2 people withdrew their applications. So when we decided, and believe me, it didn't come lightly, we spent hours around the board table debating this exact thing, what to do, how do we proceed forward. We're not abandoning the project, we're just delaying the project.
Till when?
Until 2026 at this point. So we contacted all the families, and they know that it's delayed, and they'll have the choice to keep their application in the order in which they applied or not. So we're going to go back to that, and we're hoping that something can be solved in the near future. I've met with the mayor, we've talked this through, and we know that if we could shift, we will. But now it's too late in the process. You got to remember, the tiny homes has been in plan in our sort of window for 2 years. And that takes a lot of cost to prepare. Engineering plans, site plans, all that costs us thousands of dollars before we even think about digging. So then all of a sudden, we had to shift 360 degrees to another project and spend money on the same thing we just did for tiny homes to where we're going next year in Forest. Again, not budget money. All of a sudden, we had to pull that money out of somewhere. It was a big decision, believe me. And we're not abandoning, we're just delaying. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify as far as the tiny home projects go? It gets referred to as rentals, but we were told by, I think it was Jim, that the homes are actually owned but not the land.
Yeah, so as I spoke, when I spoke, it's called deferred home ownership. In the habitat world, we don't do rent. We focus on some type of home ownership, and there's different variations of that through different affiliates across the country. So it's called deferred home ownership. So in essence, I guess if you want a term for it, it would be Habitat's version of rent to own. So you come in, you pay a fee per month. Again, like I said, that encompasses all these things, and you develop equity. So it's whatever term. Let's say it's 20 years. So at the end of the 20 years, the title of the home transfers to you, but never the land. So then Habitat will own the land. It's an opportunity for us to keep land and keep sort of funds flowing even after you're 20. So year 21, you're going to pay a very nominal fee to rent the land. And that's when we want to build capacity. Instead of building one home on one lot, it gives us an opportunity to put more. But the problem is you can't subdivide one lot 5 ways. It's too challenging. So deferred home ownership is there for that way. So in Forest, instead of building one home, we're going to build 4 on one lot. It has to be deferred because it's the only way we can do it. The same with the tiny. So again, it gives us the ability to house more people.
Yeah.
Just a different model.
The news article refers to it as a rental and that you're still deciding whether it will or will not, if you'll assist with utilities. So that's why I was kind
Yeah, I mean, it's different situations. Guthrie Drive, our seniors complex, was the same model. They pay their own utilities, and they're responsible for the interior maintenance. And just like a condo, we're responsible for everything exterior, anything major, the roofs, the driveways, the yards, the windows. That would be on us to repair. So if it were to break down over the course of the term.
How many tiny home projects are you hoping to see in Sarnia?
Well, we're going to start with 5. So, I mean, if it's successful, we want to build more. I mean, we know that that's a need, smaller units, and it's not even the size, it's the affordability of it. We can give it to folks or rent it to folks or ownership to folks much cheaper than we can in a single family home or a rental unit, or it costs us less to build. So therefore I don't need as much out. I don't need to bill you as much every month for it. So yeah, but it takes a unique piece of property to do it. And the lots we buy, as Darryl and I talked about this in length, we buy a lot of infill lots. They're not very big. So to be able to build capacity on a unit, a lot, that's important for us. So we kind of look for those that we can build more than one. Whether it's a semi, whether it's going to be tiny homes, whether it's deferred home ownership.
I hope we see a lot of them, but
Yeah, I mean, again, if the project works, we've talked about it. If the project works, we want to build more. We absolutely do. Anybody got a question? You stay where you are. I'll sort of come closer. And question about the build or volunteers or the restore. Got 3 great people up here with me. See, I can't stand still. I gotta move. So I hate the podium.
You're not making cameraman happy.
Oh, no. Sorry, buddy. Let's talk. So Forest. Let's talk just Forest. So next year's Forest is our project. We're going to build 4 homes and a unique model that's back to back. I mean, Darryl can explain a little bit about it. How's that, Darryl?
Sure.
Why not?
Sure, I can explain it, that's fine. So for Forest, for those of you that don't know, I am the Director of Build Services, and I am also an architectural technologist by training. So I actually do all of our house plans in-house. It makes it a little easier for me because then not only do I get to meet the families and design the homes to suit the family, I also get to be involved from the design point, so therefore it makes it much easier from a construction point of view. I will make a point to what you were saying about wanting, we'd like to do more. The tiny homes is actually designed modular. So I can do a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. It's just, as Dave mentioned, it's a matter of finding the property. If we could, in a perfect world, we'd like to buy all those empty lots on Christina Street and just keep going. And build 4, 5, 6 of them, like townhome versions. But as for Forest, because we found a unique property, we built 2 semis in 2023, of which I will as one of our homeowners. So we own the property next. We could have just built 2 more again, but we realized as we find it harder and harder to buy land, we are trying to maximize the land we have, and we found through some help with some engineering firms and also with Lambton Shores that they will also allow us to build 4. So we're going to do what's known as a stack. So we're going to have 2 in the front and 2 in the back, and basically a parking lot in the backyard that will then walk around. So there'll be about 800 square feet each.
if I may, you had mentioned that there was a lower number of applicants, and for various reasons, maybe a couple have pulled out.
Right.
Do you think size is a deterrent for people?
For some people, for sure. You can't put a 5-person family in a tiny home.
Yeah.
We're thinking 2 max. Mom, dad, maybe 1 child. It's not for everybody, and as per Dave mentioned with deferred home ownership, we're not necessarily expecting you to live there for 20 years. You know, it's for a lot of people, it is a stepping stone into something larger. You know, same thing with even the homes in Forest, because they're going to be 800 square feet. I'm trying to maximize every square inch I can, but again, even with the basement, I can put a bedroom in the basement and so on and so forth. We're still limited, and it's not going to work for everybody. Again, you can't put a family with 4 kids into some of these.
No,
right?
but there is a lot of people who are single, or like you said, couples.
Yes, well, even when we had the first applications, we had even seniors applying for the tiny homes.
Sickles, so that brings up a question. So for the first time, like generally we build homes for families, which has to generally include kids. So with the tiny homes and with the forest homes, as Darryl mentioned, he touched on it, is we're going to actually house singles, couples, veterans, seniors, so it opens the full gamut of folks that can apply that otherwise wouldn't apply to homes, which is important for us, right? So.
Yeah, that's good.
So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like in Forest, with the way you're describing the build, does that mean they will have no yard space?
Yeah, the outdoor space will be very limited for sure. They're going to be a bit in the front, so the 2 facing rear will have some in the front of their homes, 2 facing front will have some. There'll be side yards as well, but very limited. Yeah.
So would it be similar to a yard of like a townhouse?
Yes. Yes.
So similar to what you would see at the corner of like Indian and Wellington. So so you'll have communal or shared space, but you won't necessarily have that private backyard. But we're still finalizing the details of trying to enhance that shared space, gazebos, that sort of stuff, because we're still in the home design phase, because as Dave mentioned, we were planning to go to Christina Street.
Right.
So now we're refocusing, so like I'm literally right now designing the homes for Forest in order to ramp up for a build in the spring.
And that's when you're planning on breaking ground, is in the spring?
We will probably be at Gray Crescent, the 2 homes that you've seen. We'll probably be there, we're hoping mid to end February to be fully completed. We'd originally hoped to have the families in by Christmas, but some weather delays and some trade delays have backed us up a little bit. So yeah, we're hoping, it's like the Emma Street home you saw earlier in the slides. We finished it May 30th, we started Gray June 10th. We just keep rolling. So, but it's much easier if we finish one before we start the next.
Okay, so the other properties that we see around town with the Habitat signs, those are just properties owned by Habitat. There is no designs built for those properties.
Correct. So we have to constantly buy property to keep our land bank so we're ready for the next year, right? We want to continue to build as many houses each year as we can, but I mean, as we go through, the land bank gets sort of tighter and tighter because of the size, or not the size, the price of the property. So yeah, it's important we sort of continue to build that bank. So yeah, we got 2 properties on Brock Street, again, 1 on Stewart, Christina Street, obviously we're going to build tiny. Forest. We have 1 in Plimpton, Wyoming as well, and 1 in the north end of Sarnia on Marjorie's Way. Again, smaller lots, homes will be smaller families. So we're very transparent with the potential families to know that these homes aren't going to be big. You're going to be tighter spaces, but it's going to provide safe, decent, affordable, stability, give you an ownership, create generational wealth. So that's why we do. We want to help, right? So we're trying to maximize capacity all the time. Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask is why 2026 to build on South Christina Street instead of next year, or even finishing
Well,
this year?
next 2025 was the tiny home build originally.
Yeah.
But again, because we have to plan so far ahead for the next project, because of, again, mentioned earlier, safety and security, we decided to postpone the 2025 build, which was the tiny.
So will it be better in 26?
That's the idea, yes, sir.
How do you know?
Well, we don't. That's our goal.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a benefit to building tiny versus building like a multi-unit small apartment?
Well, I mean, it's based on zoning, based on capacity for us as an organization. We don't have the expertise to sort of build up all the time. So it's just sort of, the tiny made sense because there's a need for smaller families, there's a need for lower cost. So that's why we decided on the tiny. Yes, again.
Do you do anything in collaboration with the County of Lambton because they're responsible for social housing?
We have collaborated with the county years ago on different things. We used to run an Ontario Works program, so Ontario Works recipients that could come to our build site and learn the trade for a period of weeks. They got a stipend on top of their Ontario Works. They'd learn the trade. They'd come and help us on the site. So we moved our project along. So we did that program with the county for about 3 years. So out of that program, 85% of the people that were part of that program found full-time work, and almost 80% of them found work in the construction field. So the county sort of, as the pandemic hit, any sort of funding we were getting from them, they were diverting elsewhere, which I get. We did apply, so we applied for grants as they become available, and we applied for pre-development, what's called seed funding for the tiny home project through the county of Lambton, and we did get a $100,000 grant from the county towards that project, so which allows us to, take the trees down, put the fences up, put the services in, so family, for the sewer and water and all that stuff. So that has to take place in 2025. So we're still going to be working on the project, even though it's not going to be built in 25. We're going to prepare it. So yeah, we're always willing to work with partners. It helps things a lot if we have partners. Okay?
I have another question.
Absolutely.
I was born in Sarnia, but I've lived away from Sarnia twice.
Yep.
When I came back one time, Divine Street School was gone, St. Peter's School was gone, and I see that nothing really happened with those sites.
Right.
Then Skits closed, and
Right.
now it's going to be a 10-story, non-affordable
Right.
apartment building.
Right.
Sacred Heart School is closing at the end of this year.
That's right.
I know the developers are probably all just waiting on that.
Sure.
Once the board government lifts the moratorium on school closures, we're going to be closing a school in the North End. They're on life support. So, is there any opportunity there to do things differently? Where the old hospital was, the city sold for $1, I think. All these things were paid for by the taxpayers.
Right.
And I think whenever I talk to people, most of them would like the taxpayers to benefit in that there would be housing for those
Sure.
in need.
Absolutely.
I can speak, I'm here as a representative for the Divine Street property. And so I can speak to that, just the math. Simply the math doesn't work to develop the property. It's for private developers. It is owned by a larger REIT, a real estate investment trust. The math to build affordable, we just cannot at this time. There's no means for us to build it that would take the rent anywhere near what the affordability limit is.
And that's the issue when it's private enterprise, they have to be profit driven.
This is not even making profit.
And they will sit and hold a property like.
That's not what we're doing. Yeah, that's not what we're doing. I'll tell you from a private, we don't want to sit on a property because they've invested $8 million into it and now they have to sit on it and they have to pay for that. And in a business sense, sitting on an asset is not a smart move, right? We don't want to do that. We would like to develop it and move it forward. I'm very committed to affordable housing, but at this point, the cost, we cannot bring a rent below is about $1,650.
Yeah.
Just because
So-
the math simply doesn't work.
Sort of that's the problems we talk about on a daily basis in the office. So there's lots of plans, I think, for the city. The county has plans. Other organizations have plans. But the startup cost, the infrastructure cost to develop a property, to get it to the point of where it can be rented, let's say, in those cases, does not and will not make it affordable housing, and no circumstances. So anybody sort of that doesn't know what that is, so 80%, affordable housing is 80% value of the market rate for the city in which you live, for the unit size you want to live in. So 80% is just not attainable for these type of builds. I mean, if we talk about, I'll give you an idea. So we had an opportunity to buy a piece of property on Expo Street. So 75 by 450 feet long. So we had an opportunity to work with the church there to buy the property, so after jumping through many hoops and talking to the organization and looking at all the infrastructure costs, site plans with the city, we couldn't meet the entrance requirement in order to build there. So in order to build there, you had to have 15 meters to enter the property. So it's sandwiched between a business and a condo. So as much as we wanted to build, we had big plans. One, we couldn't even get into the property legally to do it without sort of getting land from someone else. And at that time, we couldn't get land. And then the infrastructure cost alone to get the project, and again, we're not government funded. We receive no funds unless we try to get it or apply, and that doesn't happen very often. We raise money locally through our fundraisers, through donors locally. So that's how we build, and then our Fund for Humanity. So to create a $2 million infrastructure project that I can't even get into anyway, so we abandoned that. Now others are going to try that, and I wish them all the best. It's a great organization, and they're going to give it a whirl. But in order to get to the point of where they're going to build, and then the cost of building per square feet is just, it's not going to be affordable. It's not going to be the size of units that we totally need. Don't get me wrong, we need smaller units. But where's the families in this equation? Where are the families with kids? That's where we come in. We're only preaching ownership because ownership builds equity, generational wealth, a safe place that you can afford. I mean, the going rent today for one bedroom in Sarnia is $1,400. Our mortgages are a fraction of that, and you get to own your home because we gear to what you're making. So for 20 years or 30 years, it doesn't matter if you make minimum wage or you make more, you're going to pay based on what you can afford. So Divine Street, Sacred Heart, all those places, yes, we'd love to grab them. We'd love to grab them and develop them. We would develop them all at one time, but if we had that resource and that property in order to build for years to come and to house people for years to come, man, would I love that. But I can't do that on our budget. We can't. So do we try? Do we try to get money? Sure we do. We continually try. So the Divine Street property is unattainable. As you hear, it's going to be unattainable for affordability. The other properties that are proposed in the city are going to be unaffordable. They're going to be market housing. There's no way about it. So. Comments? More questions? Yes, Jim.
Can you maybe just share the partnership we have with the city and how supportive they have been with Habitat to help us build homes in the community?
Sure. So, I mean, city obviously has been great to us over the years. They're always looking to partner with us to give us insights on properties available that they may have in their portfolio. I'm going to think it was 2020, they donated a piece of land to us, which we were grateful. So that was our Emma Street project you saw up there. So we were donating land, we were able to turn it into two. And again, they gave us the property. We had no fees associated with the property, with the city, which was wonderful. That saves us a lot of money. And again, we just housed two families. And I think the other thing is that it's residual back to the city. They get a tax base too. You got families that are spending money in the community now because they got an affordable place to live. They got more disposable income. It all comes back. So, I mean, I can't say enough. The city's been great with us. I mean, obviously, when we brought the tiny home project and all the shifting we need to do with the official plan, with zoning on that project, I mean, the support from everybody in council was amazing. Unanimous that we approved it. I mean, the rubber stamped that project so fast, it was wonderful. Because it's going to build more homes. It's going to keep people off high rental and bad living situations into a good situation, whether it's small or it's not. It's a roof over their head that's affordable. So, yeah, so the relationship with the city's been good, Jim. Continues, we have good dialogue always, and we continue to try to buy properties when we can through the city tax sales when we can. As Darryl mentioned, we would like to buy the whole down Christina Street. And I mean, there's a lot of sort of homes that are run down that are not taken care of, and we'd like to buy those. We've tried and tried and tried and tried, and we get outbid every single time. And I mean, to the point is we're bidding to our maximum capacity as an organization because it's important for us to build, to house. So.
How much are you finding it costs to build a tiny home? There was a news article about a wide range of what costs to build a tiny home.
Well, you know, it's because of what happened, we delayed the budgeting process, but everything we sort of looked at, Darryl and I thought it might be about $150,000.
Is that for the build, that's including like all infrastructure and services and?
Yeah. So which is pretty good. I mean, a typical home right now, pre-pandemic, it was costing us about $170,000 to $175,000 to build. So after the pandemic and since, now it's $245,000. So, and then the price of land used to be $25,000 to $40,000. Now it's $100,000 to $150,000 for us. So we're in a deep hole before we put a family. Think about putting a house on the land for the family. So that means we have to raise more money. And again, that fair market value that I spoke of earlier. So, you know, when Habitat's been around for years, an average fair market value home was, in what we built, might have been $165,000 to $180,000, let's say worst case scenario. So in 2019, we built a home in Petrolia, and that was our highest fair market value ever, at $385,000. And the homes we built recently are over $400,000. So here you've got a Habitat family that has come to us because they're in a high need situation because they only make X amount of dollars, high rental situations. Now all of a sudden that their fair market value is $400,000. And that's something that we can't play with. It's set up from Habitat International to Habitat Canada to us. No matter how much we buck about it, we still can't change it. And we fight every day as organizations across this country. And when I say organizations, I mean individual affiliates in different countries, in different cities and provinces. So that's hard for a family. So our mortgages used to be 20 years. So at 20 years, year 21, they got to go to the open market and get a conventional mortgage and pay Habitat what's remaining and carry on themselves. So then the fair market value increased so drastically. In 20 years, we didn't anticipate them having enough equity to get a conventional mortgage. So last year, our board changed our mortgage from 20 years to 30 years to give them more time, to give them the opportunity to gain that equity, because it's shifted and not in the best way. Yes. I'll take John first and then the lady in the back.
Okay, you talked, Dave, about the city and the county.
Yes.
What about some friendly church groups that might have land and or property available?
Well,
is that an option?
Yeah, we spoke to churches in the past, and we spoke to the one on Exmo Street, Laura Lee. So we were in on that property through the church. But again, it just wasn't a property that worked for us. We couldn't get into it. We spoke with other churches. Next to sort of the private sector, the church has more land in this country than anybody else. But they're not always so eager to part with it, believe it or not. So we're always sort of looking and listening and engaging the community where we can find partners on that side.
That's why I use the word friendly church groups.
Well, you got one? You want to give me some property, John?
We might have some leads there.
Okay, well.
Just wondered if how does that fit with the...
It definitely would fit.
It does fit.
We're not going to not explore any option that presents itself. We're going to take it as far as we can. And I'll give you an example. So recently, we had a family in Sarnia want to give us 7.5 acres. Give. Great. Okay. So the problem was when we met with the city, and this is no fault of the city at all, and we looked at where it was, we looked at the environmental side, it was by the airport, there was all these different conditions. I couldn't take that wonderful gift because it wouldn't work. Environmentally, farmland, airport. Unless the owner giving wanted to spend millions of dollars to jump through all the hoops to get it to a point that it might work, then to give it to us.
My specific question was about friendly church.
Yes, we'll look at all those options, John, if it presents them.
So there's groups of us that can also work with you to do that.
Fantastic. Let's sit down.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So was Great Crescent a property you bought, or was that a church property?
We bought it. The owner that lives in the church behind it sold it to us.
Okay, I thought maybe it was a church still
No, there's, the church was converted to a home years ago, and the owner had all that property, so he sold off 3 lots in front of the church. We didn't get the third, but we were able to secure the other 2. Yes, Kathy.
You've talked about a capital campaign, and has Habitat had a capital campaign like this ever before?
Not officially, no.
Okay, so why are we having one now?
Because we need to raise more money.
Okay, but you've been raising money in different ways all along.
Correct. We want to bring more attention to raising more money for us. So Habitat, we know, you've heard it. We know it ourselves. It's a great organization. It does amazing things. But sort of, I feel like sometimes we get lost in the community of all these other great organizations, even though we're doing great things. So we thought we needed to bring more attention to us and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and launch a new campaign that we've never launched before, because we're going to build 10 homes in 2 years, which is the most we've ever done. And we speak about the forest property of back-to-back that Darryl mentioned. We're building one another around the corner from that property too, on Wellington Street in Forest. So it's 5 there and 5 here over 2 years, which is a lofty goal for us. And the only way to get us there is a capital campaign. We need more money. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out on this one.
Sorry, I can't hear.
I said I'm going to stick my neck out on this one. Can you imagine that, John?
Yeah.
So, with the crisis that we're in today, affordable housing and the hard to house, which is not what you deal with because
That's
that's
correct.
a whole different entity.
Right.
But it is a massive crisis. Do you not feel that starting a campaign now, and I'm not saying it is or isn't a good idea, I'm just saying we are so focused on, I can't even imagine what I would do if I had to rent an apartment today. Like, I just can't imagine. It's astoundingly unaffordable.
Right.
But when we have the difficult to house as well, it's hard. I think that's why I like the tiny home idea. It gets more individual people into housing, although I know it's not going to be the difficult to house. But it's a real competition right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. Obviously, we feel for everybody that isn't housed. Feel deep. But you're right. It's not. We deal with working families that are in unaffordable situations. We help where we can on other levels and different things. But yeah, it's definitely. The dollars that we're going to be competing for, I don't know if it sort of changes where we get our dollars now. Again, we're just trying to bring more attention to it, and hopefully that we get more and get a few more donors and move it along. That it's out there. We've never put it out there. We're holding events and advertising events and saying do this, do that, but we're going to put this in the community's face, so to speak, in hopes that we can raise more. But again, the situation, the most vulnerable are out there that are, living in tents, living in the street. We feel for those people. We do. It's difficult, and we wish we could have not just our niche, but that as well. We don't have the funds, and our model doesn't allow us to go there based on what, sort of a tear-down approach, right?
People already don't know what to do with that
Right,
situation.
right.
And I'm not suggesting you should.
No, I know.
I'm just saying the competition that's
Right.
out there right now.
Yeah, for sure.
For housing money is so
It is.
overwhelming, really.
We're seeing it. We're seeing it for sure. We're seeing it in our fundraising events, and they're doing okay, but some events aren't doing like they used to. We offer renovation repair services, right? That is super busy. It is, but at the same time, the decisions people used to make on that repair are not as fast anymore. Yeah, I see it in everywhere you go. Money is a huge issue for a lot of folks living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. No one's getting ahead. Cost of living, inflation, housing prices, grocery prices, the competition is large, I agree. Yeah. Yes, sir.
On the other hand, we all recognize that there's a definite homeless problem, not only in this city, county, province, country.
Correct.
How does Habitat for Humanity see themselves fitting into that homelessness situation, or are they even interested in fitting into that?
Well, that's a great question, because we have that discussion a lot. So where we see we fit on that sort of continuum is we keep people from getting to that stage. So if you're living in a high rental situation and you've got a job and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and all of a sudden you lose that job, now you can't afford that apartment, okay? And the only place to go is potentially to the street. We offer that family that has that low income, high rental situation an opportunity to apply for a home and get out of that situation and avoid the street. Yeah, like we're directly not helping the folks on the street, I understand that. But we're keeping them from there, we think. So. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I applaud you for it, for one, because as an executive director at another nonprofit, we get caught trying to be everything to everyone. And if you find something that you can do to help in another way, like you're talking about just now, I think it's really important. And I think to live and breathe your mission, and you've expanded on what you do over the years. I mean, we would never have been considered to even be able to be supported in a build 20 years ago. So I do applaud you guys for sticking to your mission and expanding it to try and help. But as a nonprofit, you have to realize that you can't be everything to everyone, but you can be something, you can be a cog in that wheel, like you're talking about, trying to. So from our perspective, we applaud what you're doing, and kudos to you. And as another nonprofit that will be competing with you for funds in this community, you know, it's a tough thing. But if you don't put yourself out there, who's going to do it? And who's going to support you? So kudos to you guys for making that drive.
So that brings up a point. You know, years ago, Habitat wasn't allowed to build for organizations like NICS. We couldn't build for community living, but we really sort of bucked the system like we do. When Habitat, in the Habitat world, you couldn't start a handyman program. They talked about impact at the federal level, and so we were building a couple homes a year, and we feel like we weren't making as big of an impact as we wanted to our own community. But what people needed was a renovation repair business that was affordable, that was quality, and you come and go and you never know when you're there. That was the need. So that's why the program was created. We adapted to the need, just like we fought to build for organizations that need our help. You know, a lot of people don't know, so a few years ago we built for Kevin Stony Point, we built 4 homes for them, okay? So I was making sort of, we were walking around, talking to organizations, just in general, doing our Habitat pitch. And I would hear so many people, and it used to drive me crazy. What are you building for those folks? What's in it for Habitat? Because we weren't going to carry a mortgage. We weren't going to fund our Fund for Humanity by building for them. I said, we're doing it for goodwill, for the community, because they need housing. Habitat's not always in it for a profit. And that's what people sometimes forget about us. We want to help. We have a handyman program that serves 600 families this year. 600. And at the end of the day, all these folks over here in the red shirt that are on my board, they don't care if I make a damn dollar. But we've helped 600 people. That's what we're about. You know, it's about helping where we can, who we can, when we can. Yes?
So I have a lot that's already serviced.
Pardon me, sir?
I have a lot that's serviced.
Okay.
It's got the sewer, the gas, and everything going right up to the sidewalk.
Okay.
Where there was a previous house.
Yep.
It burned down.
Yep.
I grabbed the lot because I didn't want any more neighbors.
Yep.
But I'm willing to talk with you guys after. If you've got about 10 minutes, I'm willing to donate a portion of that lot.
Absolutely.
I'd like to explain to you what I'm looking for in return.
Sure.
And which is nothing for me.
Yep.
To be helping another person in a situation.
Okay.
And then you guys will be able to help a particular person that you decide upon.
Yep.
Just looking to put like a duplex in.
Okay.
There's one person with a couple kids that I want to help out.
Let's have a chat.
I own a lot, it's paid off and everything
Okay, let's have a chat for sure. Thank you. You know, we often talk that we're not expecting, people to give us land all the time. What we're looking for is your best price, some goodwill that instead of maybe getting 50, you get 45. Or, you know what I mean? Anywhere we can save on land is vital. Martin?
Speaking of helping, if someone would like to volunteer for Habitat, what should they do?
Oh, well, let's hand the mic to Sheldon. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Martin. So there's an application process online. You go to our website, habitatsarnia.org. Under the Apply tab, there's Apply for Housing, Apply to be Volunteer, and there's different divisions you can volunteer for. So you click on the application that is geared to what you want to do. So we run the Restore, there's also the Build site with Darryl, and we also have a Deconstruct division as well that goes into the houses to take out the kitchen cabinets. We're always looking for volunteers, especially through our board. So you can reach out to me as well. My cards are at the front there. I can also assist that way.
Pass it to him. Let him say a few words.
Here you go. Your turn.
This isn't my thing. This is definitely not my thing, talking to people, but I manage the Restore, and the communication between the customers and volunteers and donors every day is just, that's my talking point. That's where I'm me. The support of this community has been astronomical in the 7 years that I've been there. I started initially working on the truck, out doing donation pickups and deliveries and that kind of stuff. Then I kind of dabbled into the kitchen deconstruct program. And I still dabble in that kitchen deconstruct program. And then within probably about a year and a half after starting with the Habitat, I became the Restore manager, which has been, I can't even describe the support that this organization has given to this community. Sorry.
Okay?
No.
You got it, Joe.
Sorry, I'm trying. The donations that come in, some days we can't take, a lot of stuff. We don't like to throw it away, but we try and do what we can with what we get. The biggest thing is, the support from the community, like I say, is just unbelievable. We do, on average, we do pickups 4 days a week. On average, we do about 10 to 12 pickups per day. We do deliveries once a week, which we extended from just a morning to a full day of deliveries now. At a reasonable fee, we feel. And then we also, we do a double run pickup on Thursdays. So we do a rural community on Thursdays. So one truck in the morning will go out to Troy, Rigdon, all the way down to Wilkesport. And the other truck will do in town, and then in the afternoon they'll do Forest, Watford. We go as far as Thetford, try and creep into Grand Bay just a little bit. But on average it's 40 to 50 pickups a week that we do. And that doesn't account for the 40 to 50 donation drop-offs at our back door every single day. My team, my volunteers,
You do great. You do great.
couldn't do it without you guys.
This shows the passion we have in our team in Habitat. They've been with me a long time, and I'm grateful for them each and every day. They're truly, truly amazing. With the support from the board, truly, truly amazing. So it's been wonderful. I've been part of this organization for almost 12 years now. I served on the board before I became the CEO, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else in my life. So it's just wonderful. And to have, again, these folks that you go to work every day and you get this is the kind of passion you get. This is the help we want to provide to this community. So I saw a question, another hand over here. No? No? Okay. Got a few minutes left if there's any more questions or comments from anybody. No?
Dave, I've got one.
Okay, Kathy.
Are the bills in force contingent on the success of the capital campaign?
To a point. So no, every year when we build, like any organization, we budget and we budget for builds, and so we're just in the midst of finalizing the budget for Forest. But again, we're already building one on Lambton Street, so that is going to go forward 100%. And the plan is to see what our budget will allow us to get of the 4 units. So we're hoping that we can raise our normal funds, and with the capital campaign, raise enough additional funds to complete it all next year. So, yeah. So the goal is to get it done. Yeah. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's the short answer. Yes. Contingent on raising more money, but we can't do anything if we don't raise money. So, although we have a successful restore, every year when we budget what we're going to do in the restore, we don't know because it's all contingent on what comes through the back door. The quality of what comes through the back door, how generous people are with their goods that they want to get rid of. So we don't know every year what we're going to do in sales and what's going to transfer to the bill. So let me touch on that. So the restore is one of the most successful restores in the country, not only from a sales standpoint, but from a profit margin standpoint. So the way the sort of process with restores work in the Habitat world is you have to generate enough profit in your restore to pay your administrative costs of your organization. So, I think Mike touched on it. We're one of the only donations you can give to an organization where you can actually go and touch the donation. Because every dollar that comes in our door goes directly to the build. It never pays a cost, so to speak. So it pays all the administrative costs, the profit from the store alone. So it's a pretty unique model, and we're really proud of that, as there are habitats across the country. But again, our store, because of the support of this community, is one of the best there is. So